Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to become IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS? We Unacademy, with top educators of India and meticulously designed quality content, we are waiting for you, waiting to shape you so that you realize your dream. Once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen, you undergo a great learning experience. I'm sorry. You know very well Unacademy, India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? You can ask me that question. Yes, you got daily live classes like this, ladies and gentlemen. And you can chat with your educator and you can engage in all-round discussions and you can also ask your genuine doubts and you can participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do when the session is going on. And beyond that, you got structured courses. This is completely in alignment with pattern of the examination and syllabus of UPSC Civil Services Examination so that you never get deviated from the expected framework. We are keep on emphasizing the very important point. It's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff, because delivery matters. For that particular purpose, we evaluate you, especially in your various stages of preparation, by conducting regular mock tests and quiz programs, and you get in turn the detailed report or analysis based on your performance. You come to know where you are strong, where you are weak. And once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen, you got access to unlimited recorded and live videos. You can learn from anywhere, anytime. Not only that, on the basis of the availability of your devices, whether it is mobile phone, the laptop, even your desktop, and you can have access to all these benefits, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. What do you have to do for that? If you ask me, you have to download Unacademy learning app immediately, whether it is Android or iOS. Once you download, you are ready to access all the benefits what we have enlisted so far. Yes, who is this interacting with you, ladies and gentlemen? This is Success Sampath from Chennai. I got the unique experience of got exposed to the field of engineering, management, and legal education with 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially civil service aspirants. And that gave me opportunity for my team also to witness 250 plus results of IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS officials working in India and abroad as well. You can ask me, what's your vision, sir? Yes, to provide career solution, especially by enabling Indian youths to start with, maybe to embrace the globe later. Fortunately, this particular vision of mine is aligning with Unacademy. We are working together so that you realize your dream. So you may have a lot of questions, queries in your mind. To reach me, you can reach, Telegram channel of mine, or even you can reach YouTube channel either as Success Sampath or Sampath Thiruvengadam. It's available. So we will take you to the next level. It's not only me, as I told you, as a team in Unacademy, more than 100 plus top educators waiting for you to shape you. Under UPSC Civil Service Examination, you got more than 15,000 courses, subject specific module and duration specific module. Yes, it is that way. And beyond that, when you talk about UPSC Civil Service Examination, ladies and gentlemen, and you got Plus program and Iconic program. The Plus program, it's all about your live classes, test series, unlimited practice sessions, and you got structured schedule. And you got, that 12 months program, 24 months program, according to your convenience, you can choose. And you can also use my referral code, say Success. You are interacting with Success Sampath. My referral code is Success, to avail 10% of discount. And more than this Plus program, we strongly recommend Iconic program, because the unique feature of this particular Iconic program, apart from the advantages of Plus program, you will be allotted a personal coach, a special coach for you, a mentor for you. and he or she will take care of your that all round needs, especially to suggest you planner according to your nature, and also to give you the feedback, personalized feedback. Especially one shoe cannot fit everyone, ladies and gentlemen. And also every day, that writing practice for that mission, that especially main writing practices you will come to know. And here too you have 12 months program, 24 months program. You can use my referral code once again, that say success for both. And technically speaking, once you enroll, you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees per day basis. It's not even your expenditures meant for your evening snacks, ladies and gentlemen, but you ensure your career. Yes, I think that small aim is a crime. Let's think big, aim high. Got the idea, ladies and gentlemen? It is right time, that, and let's focus on today's purpose, the very purpose of our interaction. And some of you may be newcomers. Meanwhile, let me welcome, that Ankit Tripathi. Good afternoon. Yes, it is that way. And some other people also, that joined here. Welcome to Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen. This is right time. That if any newcomers, that available there, I think, it becomes my responsibility to speak in a few minutes about sociology. One of the popular optional subjects in the main examination, the very sociology. Why it is popular? Because the simplicity on the part of this subject matter, because you are part of the society is in you. You are, that you are living in family, and you would have seen, that your siblings, that marriages, if you're yet to get married, and you got your relationships, and you would have gone to educational institutions, and you would have enjoyed your adult franchise, the voting process, political institution, and you would have got your own faith system, maybe religious institution. And beyond that, you got your social identity, and that maybe even a general category has got reservation. We are living in that era. So what is the point? So it's ultimately your identity. What is the caste you belong to, the economic status, the education, the gender, the age, the knowledge, of course, IQ you talk, and even how do you handle with your emotions. Of course, there comes, modern day world, we are talking about emotional quotient. What may be the identity? People are getting stratified, on the basis of a particular criteria. And apart from that, very well, the society is keep on changing. You would have witnessed in front of your eyes. You just imagine some 10 to 15 years back how India was, how today, how you were, how your social groups, your family or your family members, that how they were 15 years back. So all these things is all about subject matter of sociology. So sociology is all about society, study about society, science of society. The society is nothing but system or network of relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very simple. That is why it is quite popular and scoring also. Because of sociology, you got overlapping subject matter. You can also parallelly score good marks in general studies, especially paper 1 society portion. And paper 4, you got ethics. Out of 250, 130 marks meant for your case studies. And also you got one of the essays. When we talk about essay writing practice, the whole, that if you take into account all the past previous year questions, the whole, that essays can be grouped under 8 domains. One of the domains happen to be society. If you are preparing for sociology, you need not prepare for essay. So, it is that way, multitasking, parallel processing. It has got its own advantages. Beyond that, you understand the society when you are living, letter and spirit. So that helps you to understand the questions, the UPSC prelims or mains, or even in your delivery, in other subject matters too. Beyond that, even it's going to be useful for your life. That will change your personality, because you develop the tendency to see two sides of a single coin. It is not always seeing one side of the coin and getting biased, getting influenced, getting prejudiced. Sociology will take you to that level. There comes our relevance of today's discussion, the perspectives. The perspectives will make you to see both sides of a coin. That's what we are going to discuss: structural functionalism and conflict school of thought, and some of other perspectives too parallelly. The two aspects of two sides of a single coin, you understand the truth. You understand what this, the principle is called as objectivity. See as it is, accept as it is. We are talking this way, and further you've got concepts to support cultural relativism. You will come to know everything. So that is why sociology is very popular. Apart from scoring, it's also helping you in your lifestyle, changing your personality. Ladies, as it changed me. I'm hailing from rural, humble background with Tamil medium. I'm from Tamil Nadu. This success, Sampath, for your kind information, ladies and gentlemen, that changed my perspective about the very notion of living. I benefited out of it. Apart from scoring good marks in sociology, I could help my students also to score very good marks in sociology. They are in different parts of India, as I told you earlier. You too. Welcome to Unacademy once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. I think that introduction is sufficient for you for vis-a-vis sociology, and you can also watch all my previous videos. Already it's available in the very YouTube channel. And in what way it is relevant to finally the very topic what we are going to discuss, the perspectives in sociology, how it is related to UPSC mains, especially part of optional subject called sociology. And then, as we spoke, the two major perspectives in sociology, the structural functionalism, conflict school of thought. As I said, two sides of a single coin. You got another, that, but it is not much present in syllabus. Normally, you get one, that a small question, that of course 10 marks questions. You get symbolic interactionism, and beyond that, in paper 2, which has become foundation for Indian sociology, that's called Indological approach, where we are going to talk about G.S. Gurye and the criticisms on G.S. Gurye's contribution too. So these are all, the today's agenda is this, the content is this, then what are all the resources that can be consulted for this? Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time, let's enter into. Yes, hitherto we spoke about sociology. I think you understood. It's study of society, science of society, study about social groups, social institutions, or system or network of existing among that human beings. That is what called society. And a society can have many more communities within that. A community can have many more social groups within that. These are all the basic informations. The blueprint of the society is called culture. Right. But the society has got various aspects, marital, familial, educational, the kinship, economic, educational, political, religious, and also social stratification. And finally, we talk about the change in those institutions you call social change. Even in the previous, the lecture, of course, videos available already there in the YouTube. You can watch the basic concepts. Right. So in what way, that today's discussion relevant to UPSC, when that is the scenario, ladies and gentlemen, because you had previous year questions. I did not bring much questions because let me expose you a few questions. It talks about critically examine positivistic approach. Sir, you never mentioned the positivism, that of course thanks to Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, the founding fathers of sociology. The positivism is a movement. The positivism is a methodology. Applying the methods of that social science, applying the methods of natural sciences. What are all the methodologies practiced by natural sciences? Your physics, your chemistry, right? So observation, experimentation, verification, hypothesis, what you did in your laboratory, in your school days, even in your college days, the science students especially, even engineering students. The same methodologies that you practice to learn about society, to study about society. That's why the report, what you get is called, that a very scientific report, precise, accurate, objective. You study in a scientific way. That's why report is very precise, accurate. That's why that so many entities, the social entities waiting for your report as a sociologist, but you are aspirant of sociology. That's totally different scenario. Yes, applying the methods of natural sciences for making study over society. Even Emile Durkheim, organic analogy, comparing society with living organism. It is that way. So the questions centered around that. The questions were like that. Okay, Indological approach. It is, the G.S. Gurye studied about India. It's otherwise called textbook approach, based on text, the Sanskrit, that beyond that, and available various resources. It may be about, that eulogizing, speaking more or exaggerating about Indian context, but that became foundation for rest of the, that sociological perspectives in India. For your kind information, the question about it, you will come to know the Govind Sadasiv, that Gurye, that we talk about, G.S. Gurye, that one of the founding fathers of Indian sociology, for your kind information. And G.H. Mead, belonging to symbolic interactionism, especially out of interaction and using symbols, you develop meaning. It may be centric around micro level perspectives, where you come to know, you develop, you recognize yourself, who you are. There are concepts like looking glass self of C.H. Cooley, who you are. The individual self becomes social self, only in interaction. The animal becomes social animal. So the outcome of the interaction, but using the that symbols, gestures we are talking about. I becomes me. So this notion all about that, just have an idea, maybe after that understanding everything, because it's not discussion over the question, just I'm introducing. The Marxism approach, the Marxism, very well, it's otherwise called conflict school of thought. When you try to see the system, when you try to see order, integration, stability, cooperation, cohesion in society, that's structural functionalism. When you try to see conflict, change, simmering discontent, contradiction, exploitation, one social group trying to exploit another social group, and because of that radical change, revolution, the people become conscious, ultimately they mobilize together. Even the communist parties, the trade union movements, that even that's what the clarion call of Karl Marx. The world proletariats unite together. Otherwise, the history of hitherto all existing society is full of struggle between haves and have-nots. To have ownership over economic resources, the struggle led to change from one society to another. So, and finally, the political goal of the Marxism, establishment of classless communist society. Even the independent India, democratic nation, the first communist government formed in Kerala, you might be aware. But of course, Nehru, that couldn't tolerate, ultimately disbanded. All those. The Nambudiri Bhatt administration in Kerala, you come to know something about Marxism already through trade unions in your neighborhood industrial area. But this is another approach, another perspective on the part of the subject matter called sociology, called conflict perspective. Because the way with which you look at things, that's what you see. That's what that life says. And for an optimist, otherwise an optimist will see solution in every problem. A pessimist will see problem in every solution. Ladies and gentlemen, and what you get, the byproduct is totally depending on the way with which you have seen, the perspective with which you have that evaluated the whole living. So even the perspectives in sociology, that is what the message communicated. Ladies and gentlemen, see, with this approach, how especially A.R. Desai analyzed Indian nationalism, and we are talking about India's independence movement from historical perspectives, starting from Mahatma Gandhi, how the hard-earned freedom, the sacrifice, especially Mahatma Gandhi's leadership after 1915, well. And very, the thing, the Satyagraha, Ahimsa, these are all the things we spoke. It became people movement. That's historical, chronologically speaking, various movement, civil disobedience movement, you talk about Quit India movement, and so many things, so much of things we spoke. That is historical version, but sociological version is totally different, especially the conflict approach looks at things in such a way. The A.R. Desai looks at Indian nationalism. It is a struggle between, British elites and Indian elites to have control over Indian administration. Who can exploit more? This view, we can't rule out also. That's also partially true. Otherwise, the struggle between, because, when British administration was trying to exploit Indian resources, how the very Indian masses, otherwise, that this Indian elites, the Western educated elites, utilized the masses. They that employed masses otherwise to become, mass movement. That accusation, it's almost like pessimistic view. What to do? That's what Karl Marx, the Marxism, otherwise conflict school of thought, is always accused. They are pessimistic people. They are always talking about down, management, down. They will do nothing. They will create problems. That view is there. And even the very the conflict perspective, that the political goal of Marxism, establishment of classless communist society. Even today, it is called utopian ideology, imaginary. And otherwise, people gone to the extent of saying materialism will never materialize. I repeat once again, materialism will never materialize. This criticism leveled against. At the same time, it's not completely, outrightly rejecting this perspective. It is partially true also, ladies and gentlemen. Even today, a guy, that any organization which has got, control over resources capable of dominating the sphere, whether it is United States of America or the global state system, even at the, that Indian corporate mechanism, very well. There comes, relevance of Marxism. Even at the World Trade Organization, international institutions, we witness the same scenario. Forget about that. In your rural locality, who is dominating the sphere? You just check. Even if it is going to be dominant caste, even the dominant caste, as said by Louis Dumont, the characteristic features, especially it should be, upper caste and owning, that economic resources, and size will be more, numerical strength, and also parallelly enjoying high ritual status, and access to abroad, access to, that otherwise higher education, all these factors. And because of that, they are capable of commanding resources all round in various spheres of life. Marxism is relevant. Other side of the coin. But at the same time, that all the people who accumulated resources, you cannot accuse them that they, that became rich by exploiting you. It's not possible. Then what about hard work? What about, passion? You are outrightly rejecting that part. It is that way. So you will come to know, technically speaking, you will come to know more about it. So this I am talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say, for example, the India is one of the flagship programs you might be aware. And especially, that Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And it's appreciated even today, even given COVID situation, how people are, when all-round unemployment, at the pan-Indian level, even the migrant, the laborers, they could, survive because of this Manrega. Each and every state, they're very keen in creating, jobs, ultimately putting some money in the hands of the people. So thanks to Manrega, it's number one, eradicating poverty, and also, that arresting inequality, providing social justice, and providing, that employment, and also addressing, that 1/3 of reservation for women in those jobs. And beyond that, rural asset creation. When you do all these things, part of Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, you also arrest people, the very people, the population, so that they need not migrate from rural to urban areas and in pursuit of job. The migrant issue, that we are talking, it's because of that, because of the migration. And very, that some of the migrants died. That became issue, very well. You can stop the people in their own respective location if you, that understand, if you give them jobs so that they will survive there itself. So this is, on the part of, that thanks to Manrega, that could to some extent, address the issues, and even in the tough situation like COVID crisis we are talking about. But so far I would have given, the positive picture. So sociological perspective, I told you, if you speak about, the positive sides, of course, you treat society as a system which has got integration, which has got order, which has got structure. All the elements of society will contribute in such a way so as to reinforce that social order, so as to strengthen that social order. So parts contribution to the whole, this way of looking at things. In that way, Manrega is appreciated that it's contributing in such a way so as to reinforce the social order. You just imagine if all people are, that running, of course, there is, that you talk about poverty, you talk about unemployment, no doubt. In spite of that, to some extent, it could manage. So by establishing, because of that peace, that leads to next level of prosperity or economic development. So in that sense, structural functionalism looks at Manrega as a unit, is reinforcing already existing social order through its social consequences, through its function, you call social function, that ultimately bringing social order. Of course, if you look at the same from, that Marxism perspective, they say, when society is already exploitative, what happens? They will take up, social audit report. The social audit report says, what happens, right? Of course, you announced Manrega, cool. But what's happening there? If you go, they aren't doing anything. They are doing nothing. They will simply go and sign, and you take 60, you take 40, give me 60. The share. The corruption is revealed. They are not making, creating rural assets. They do nothing, simply sign, get the money. What happens now? And in some states, per day basis, they are given the 100 days of employment I'm talking about, they are given to the tune of 170 rupees per day and all. So because of this money, and they aren't participating in the agricultural activities. So ultimately, the sector which is getting affected in the rural area is agriculture. They don't get agricultural laborers because all these guys are coming for 100 days of jobs. Nobody is going there. So the laborers, that running short ultimately in the agricultural sector. So already agriculture has got umpteen number of problems, you just imagine. So the labor crisis ultimately, that puts down. And beyond that, the corruption is cited. So what will happen? So this Manrega, not only that, it is not eradicating poverty and eradicating unemployment, the accusation in such a way, the criticism in such a way. So rich gets richer, poor gets poorer again. Those who are all, ultimately, who is deciding who should be given job, there itself, becomes question mark. A guy who is dominating the sphere will decide who is, getting jobs today. So there will be nepotism, favoritism, corruption in kind. So all these, the aspects. So what happened? So the Manrega becomes yet another tool or additional tool as an exploitative device to widen the gap between rich and poor. Otherwise, it is not solving the purpose. Otherwise, it's a new mechanism identified, that maybe the governmental sector to indulge in corruption. Maybe this accusation. This is how the pessimistic view, of course. At the same time, though you label as pessimistic, it's not, that far from truth. Ladies and gentlemen, partially true also. The social audit reveals. It is that way. So look at two sides of a single coin. I think, in that way, this particular topics, that the perspectives what we are going to discuss, of course, already I started discussing. You would have got, some spirit parallelly by seeing the questions, right? This is how the previous year questions, future also, lot of questions came, because in optional, the questions are getting repeated, and it has become my responsibility before introducing you thinkers. The paper 1 thinkers, paper 2 thinkers in sociology, it becomes my responsibility to share with you the essence of perspectives of sociology. I think, you would have got some informations, and let's move to the next level, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, structural functionalism, that you treat society as a system as if it has got structure, and that structure in its functioning, a system is born. This particular perspective is called as structural functionalism. You see, that you take it for granted otherwise. You always see society as a system as if it has got order. Why? Even in your day-to-day life, it happens. The people never tolerate change. They are called conservatives. Even structural functionalists are accused, they're criticized as they are conservatives because they don't want to see change. Otherwise, if at all change happens, they say from static to dynamic. Till next level of order comes, this change may be permitted. That is their opinion. Even, that in Hinduism, especially Shaivism, Vaishnavism, in Shaivism, that the sponsorship is called as Upayadar. In temples, you would have seen the board, sponsorship. Whereas the very Hinduism, in another sect of Hinduism, Vaishnavism, they call Kaingaryam. As you see, that astronaut, cosmonaut at the international level, same is the case. So this structural functionalists never accept, they hate the word called change because they are the people running after the notion called order. So they and instead they say dynamics. They are ready to tolerate even change till the next level of order comes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So this notion, this way of looking at society as if a system with order. Otherwise, emphasis is on social cohesion. Society is always with social order, social integration, social stability, that way. So that ultimately the credit goes to Emile Durkheim, one of the founding fathers of sociology, because he spoke about organic analogy, compared society with living organism. As an individual, you are that multi-million cells you have. Don't say you got cell phone. You got multi-million cells. Especially, why? Because, cells combining together tissues combining together organs combining together subsystem, subsystem central nervous system, digestive system, blood circulatory system. When all subsystems are properly coordinated, you ensure the survival of the whole system, ladies and gentlemen. Same is the thing applied here in the society. Society has got various subsystems called social institutions. When all social institutions are that properly coordinated, you ensure the survival of the whole system. That is what the way. So, in society, you ensure social solidarity, according to Emile Durkheim. The very social order is called as social solidarity. It could be mechanical, it could be organic, depending upon the nature of the society. Right. So, the modern structural functionalist, of course, when very sociological perspective, the structural functionalism was accused, these guys are optimistic people. These guys are, that conservative people. They always, run after the notion called value consensus. So that came, that to take the very, that structural functionalism to the next level by attacking all its maladies. That came Robert King Merton especially, and this is otherwise called, he belongs to the school of modern structural functionalism, where Talcott Parsons, R.K. Merton, they're coming and helping us in that way. And beyond that, even the social stratification unit, you got one important person called Kingsley Davis Wilbert E. Moore. And they employ this, the structural functionalism theory, because very well, even in the basic concepts yesterday's session, you can watch, we spoke about it. Society is getting stratified. You make layering in the society, one above the another. So that that leads to division of labor, and who is good at, accordingly you categorize and you allot. It leads to delegation. So that's what happening in any organization. So in organization, you go for stratification, the division of labor that leads to specialization, so that you get fantastic product and you are capable of that exporting or selling in the market. So you talk that way. So functionalism looks at that way. Social stratification is good, universal. By that resorting to the process of social stratification, you ensure survival of the society. Even in Tirukural, Tamil, I will be translating, Idanai, Idanal, Ivan Mudikum, Endraraindu, Adanai, Avan can vidal. It is not asking, that a doctor with MS, that to construct your home. It's not possible. It is that way. And right person for the right post. This is what the meaning of that particular Tirukural. Ladies and gentlemen, people from other parts of India. It is that way we are talking about. So social stratification is a process of identifying right talents, who is best for what sphere, so that that you ensure social order, so that works towards productivity maximization. In turn, that benefits the society, ensures social order, reinforcing social order. This way of looking at things. So there comes ultimately criticism also. Melvin M. Tumin, that all functionally important positions should be fulfilled, and they should be given necessary training. These are all the things we are going to elaborate in social stratification. So already that you got Kingsley Davis Wilbert E. Moore reinforcing this structural functionalism, or employing the very perspective in social stratification analysis. Why here? Even in family you can apply. So there are guys, family is said to be basic unit of society. There are people that who have very good notion that family is one of the wonderful institutions in society, and through socialization you learned the culture of the society, and it is family ultimately enjoys the credit because that made you to this level. This is one way. And there are guys looking at family and death of a family, and family is that like political gangster, joint family, how the system works. And you are ready to tolerate your own Pakistan, neighborhood Pakistan terrorists, but you won't allow your own cousin inside on property division or whatever may be the issue. Because the parochialization, narrow-mindedness on property issues, ladies and gentlemen. So it has become like gangster. Otherwise you watch all TV serials. I think most of that the people, ladies watch, it's a negative energy. That's what accused. So the people keep on watching that, that the family related tawdry, secrets, and one gangster. There will be groupism in the family, one trying to win over other and indulging in all those, that criminal activities. So the family can also be looked at, that like exploitative device, where women is not, that paid, compensated for all her contributions. If you don't honor women, how come you will honor women in society? If you treat your own women in the low status, how come I can expect you to treat your own women beyond the par? Charity begins at home. So exploitation in the family is getting reflected in the exploitation of society. It is that way, that's conflict school. But functionalism school says you get beautiful opinion about society only in family, optimistic view. But sometimes, parents, when you grow old, ultimately they will start telling you, you be very careful. Ultimately, that pessimism to make you aware, to take care of you. But there is also possibility of deception. That's totally different scenario. For every kind, you got two sides. Same way, according to the functional theory, family is universal, wonderful institution for socialization of young kids and taming of adult individuals. So order you establish in the family, same order you see in the family. That way of looking at things, this is what functionalism school of thought. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we applied for two different units, the very perspective parallelly. Not only that, you also get, that Herbert J. Gans, and especially, that he mentioned this, and because of the essay, an article, the positive functions of poverty. Poverty is dysfunctional to the poor people. Poverty is problem for poor people, but poverty is functional for, that exploiters. During elections, that practically speaking, that you will be cash for votes, well, the freebies, populistic measures, apart from identity politics. So the people getting some money for voting. So that's shame. That's totally different. Given illiteracy, given poverty, people are resorting to. That's totally different scenario. So poverty is problem for poor people. Poverty is that, of course, solution for the exploiters, political exploiters, the caste based exploiters, very well. It is that way. You can speak both ways. So understanding the positive functions of the poverty, it is that way. You got two different perspectives. We told you already in the previous sessions, poverty is not mere absence of the resources. You don't have money in the sense, maybe it's because of the thing you are deprived from having money. Something meant for you has been blocked by someone. It is that way. That's conflict school of thought. Structuralism, of course, structural functionalism, looking at this way, the poverty becomes opportunity, a problem becomes opportunity. You start working. That makes you very strong, that you have to generate resources. It becomes challenge in front of you. That's positive functions. It is that way. So you can, and it talks about the imitation. The very essay imitates the structural functionalism principle. It is that way. So the very structural functionalism school, well, completely relying on the stability and the cohesion, integration. Otherwise, what we spoke, the very Emile Durkheim's organic analogy principle predominantly. It's not only that, we are going to discuss that some more parallelly. So that's why they are accused ideologically conservative. They never see beyond order. Otherwise, the functionalism is always construed as consensus. People come and agree over the established principles, value systems, so that there will be order. Through constitution, we have reached consensus. This day on 26th November, we do hereby adopt, enact and give ourselves to the constitution. That's what your preamble speaks. It is consensus. It is that way. So the Talcott Parsons talking about that evolutionary theory based on consensual approach, the structural functionalism. And even the Marxism, that functional explanation, the explanation, they have very self-determination that there will be order, but that order may not be favoring people, may not be favoring majority, that order favoring few. They go that way. In point of sometimes, some places they enjoy the self-determination on the part of the functionalism school of thought, especially to have order. And that order is not always there, but it would be nice if you have classless communal society. That's their political goal, the goal of Marxism. So that instead, not only that, why that order may not be there, because of the contradictions prevalent in the system, the contradictions, the antagonism, because of the exploitation of have-nots by haves. That is the way. So there are the criticism, even the epistemological world, ontological world. I think that you will get into that later. I need not elaborate further. And what we think is the nature of the society itself. You see society as a system. Otherwise, that even the structural functionalism school of thought, considering the change, or even temporary conflicts until you get reintegration, until you see the next level. That's what we spoke. Otherwise, the social institutions are adequately explained in terms of putative effects we are talking about. So structural functionalism is all about bringing social order, bringing social stability, bringing social integration. It is that way. You see, society as a system and society has got order. It is that way. So not only that, that very historical developments, that addressed by this structural functionalism. Even the that evolutionary principle, you adopt society moving from stage 1 to stage 2. It is that way. So increasing differentiation, the organic mechanical solidarity becoming organic solidarity, as per Emile Durkheim. The increasing complexity, even Herbert Spencer said, simple to complex society. Society moving from simple to complex. So this increasing differentiation, what happened? Parallelly, it prepares the reintegration of systems and subsystems. When the society becomes complex, you are ready to adapt, ready to integrate yourself by accepting change. Otherwise, by adopting the change. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. You got variety of informations, whatever it may be. The structural functionalism says society is more than individuals. Even Talcott Parsons, R.K. Merton, they keep on emphasizing this principle. Of course, individuals are responsible for the formation of society. Even the Talcott Parsons, that in the agile model, functional prerequisites, adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency, you will come to know in Thinker's portion. Society is always, that above you. But, that Anthony Giddens is not ready to accept that principle. How come? He emphasizes other way around, criticizing structural functionalism. No, individuals are more than society. No individual, no society. How come you can malign individual? That's his point of view. He's not ready to accept, that otherwise treating individuals as tutelage of the society. He's not ready to accept that principle. Started criticizing. Not only that, the Jeffrey Alexander, there are, it's not memorizing. I think I took this opportunity to expose you. You don't memorize anything. Just come to know. Have an idea. But what happens, right, when structural functionalism is predominantly preoccupied with the notion called social stability, social order, social equilibrium, but reality is different. Say, for example, that law and order mechanism, they want to ensure state government, central government talking about lockdown. What happened? Could you enforce, successfully? Because it's a problem between life and livelihood. So it's ultimately, reality is totally different. It is too ideal to, that to speak about structural functionalism. Reality is totally different. Maybe that is a way. And also, that the human individual's actions we are talking about. Because, that changes the course of the history. It is not, ensuring the order there. And beyond that, so the very, the historical accounts and human actions and consequences we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time. You got enough stuff parallelly. It is, also enforcing, that symbiotic relationship between social institutions and the environment, social situation, and increased differentiation, the major forms of social change. In spite of that, that structural functionalism says society, order, stability is enforced. All these things you take into account, of course, here you talk about Auguste Comte, Herbert Spencer, here you talk about, that the very founding fathers, you talk about Emile Durkheim also there. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the right time. Let me take you to the next level. We spoke already at length about conflict school. It is looking at conflict, looking at simmering discontent, antagonism, struggle between haves and have-nots. There comes Karl Marx and his wealthy friend Frederick Engels, responsible for publication of Communist Manifesto, where you come to know the history of all existing societies full of struggle, the struggle between haves and have-nots, because this particular school of thought running after the notion, change is permanent. In Tamil, maradadu matram ondrudan. It is that way. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think parallelly people are participating in questioning. Sir, will there be necessary to mention all these things while writing answer? Wherever necessary. In paper 1, you have to mention, the global sociologist. In paper 2, you have to mention Indian sociologists, even case studies. It is not necessary that you have to bring. Wherever relevant, you can bring, thinkers. I'm answering the question parallelly. Any change that is merely backed by sanction is justified by structural functionalists. Yeah, the value consensus approach we are talking about, Mr. Sankalp Agnihotri. And welcome Mr. Sankalp Agnihotri, Mr. Nandita Balyan, and Mr. Captain Tain. Yeah, of course, you can watch all the the videos available in the YouTube channel already. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are in conflict school. Yes. So, that what is the point here? Individuals and groups with opposing interests, contradictions, naturally, they're bound to be in conflict. That's what's happening. So, on the whole, in the human society, between India and Pakistan, there is a conflict. Of course, during Cold War, we had, between NATO Pact, Warsaw Pact, we are talking about. It is that way. So, emphasizes now between, the face-off between the very USA and China we are talking about. So, this conflict school of thought emphasizes the role of coercion, threat, the very conflict may be in various forms. Coercion, threat. Ultimately, other parties are, forced to accommodate, to avert the war, well. So, it's that way, by various means, various accommodative means. arbitration, mediation, truce, treaty, ceasefire, pact. You got variety of ways to avoid this conflict, open conflict, even competition. The competition is also called peaceful conflict according to Lewis Coser. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So it is what happened, the ability of some to influence and control others. Who are all those some? The some people owning control over economic resources. Given the social wide, that inequality in India, you might be knowing, the 10% of elite people controlling 90% of the resources. Even in the global scenario, we talk about that way. So this widening, that inequality, economic inequality, that's why, that there comes, that the problem of social justice. So what happened? This conflict school is all about emphasizing strife and friction. There may not be possibility of order, cohesion, stability, peace because of that. So what happened? So the groups will be competing each other. There won't be peace. The competition, one winning, another one losing. It's not a healthy competition sometimes. So, for what? To have ownership over socio-economic resources, ladies and gentlemen. This is conflict school of thought. I think, that. So we can also, emphasize some more points parallelly. This emphasis on social control, but not on consensus or conformity. Threatening, coercing, by using the power because of ownership over economic resources. Even the Karl Marx says infrastructure shapes superstructure. If you are very strong in economy, you are capable of dominating rest of the institutions, rest of the non-economic institutions in the society. Don't you understand the relevance of Marxism? Even today it is relevant. The corporate driven politics, that's what the governments are accused, that you are not taking care of agriculture but you are giving concession to corporate people. That accusation, why? The corporate driven politics, because they generate more resources for the nation. Ultimately the government's priority, but they are criticized in other way round. Otherwise the government should be government for everybody, not government of few. That comes all this criticism from this perspective. So inequality and power struggle, that becomes the byproducts, otherwise a result of all these things. The power struggles between conflicting groups, that becomes the source of change. As I told you, the struggle, the conflict, the antagonism between the haves and the have-nots, because of that, what happened? There comes a revolution, there comes change. The change towards classless communist society. Maybe Karl Marx in primitive, ancient, Asiatic, feudal, capitalistic society, stage by stage talking about every, except primitive communism, in every stage, has got its own seed of destruction. How? Because of the inherent contradiction. That struggle leading to change. This is what he explains very clearly, the dialectic materialism principle, one of his major contributions. Yes, that not only that, those with greatest power are typically able to maintain their advantage at the expense of others. In power, you got two theories: variable sum concept of power, constant sum concept of power. The constant sum concept of power, of course, Max Weber comes, he belongs to conflict school of thought. The power is fixed 100%. If at all I am enjoying 90%, you are that bestowed with only 10%. If you are with 90%, I am bestowed with only 10%. But whatever may be, power is always fixed. So if at all one particular group is said to be possessing greatest power, it is at the expense of other groups. You are more powerful at the expense of rest of the population. It is that way. So that is why the criticism, that criticize for neglecting importance of the shared values. That's what I said in the beginning. The shared values, to have order, to understand the value system, to respect the rule of the law, to respect the constitution, to respect our value system, to not to kill, not to harm, the meritocracy. So that this conflict school of thought is accused that you don't give importance to, otherwise you neglect, you reject the shared values, consensus, even public consensus in society, because you are always overemphasizing inequality, exaggeration, like maybe pessimism in the extreme sense. Right? It is that way. So conflict theory finds the origin of social behavior. It is that way that in the structure of society especially, but it differs from functionalism in emphasizing the importance of power. It's very fortunate thing, at least they are recognizing the structure in the society, but that functionalism emphasizing structure for different purpose, because structure, that it has got its own justice, the social statuses, social roles, and governed by rules and regulation, or even interrelationship existing among the institutions. But whereas, that the structure, what the conflict theory, that says is totally different. Importance of power, because that's just now we spoke, that power, the greatest power at the cost of the power of the rest of the people. One trying to exploit other. It's, that fix, the power is fixed. Constant, that I told you already, constant some concept of power, variable some concept of power. This is all about constant some concept of power. I think it is right time. Let's move to, that next interact. Of course, two major perspectives in sociology, structural functionalism and conflict school of thought. You got only one, that normally you get symbolic interactionism for small questions, short notes especially. I think, what is this? We gave you introduction. What is this? The interaction, that between human beings, you use symbols, gestures, even words, of course, language, some definitions. It is some rituals, maybe rituals, ceremonies you employ. It is out of interaction there develops, meaning for the social interaction, people coming together. Otherwise, you get gelled with society. Otherwise, society enters in you. It is that way. So, symbolic interactionism is all about, giving importance to interaction between the two. Otherwise, the meaning of social life, meaning of self, even about your own self, the meaning arises only in social interactions, only when you put yourself in the societal context. It is that way, that symbolic interactionism. It focuses on the nature of interaction, the dynamic patterns of social action, the interaction out of social action, action in the societal context, and also you develop relationship out of it. It is that way. So this particular concept, of course, formulated by Herbert Blumer, but developed by George Herbert Mead. It is that social psychology, the portion we have to speak, the overlapping between sociology and psychology, how individual influencing society, or how individual influenced by the society, two-way round. So, socio-psychological perspective focuses on small-scale interpersonal relations. It's not talking about big society, social institution, but something happens at the individual level, individuals' interaction in the neighborhood, in the society, in the social groups. It is that way. So, individuals are here active constructors of their own conduct. It is ultimately in the interaction situation what happened, right? Interpret, evaluate, and define the map, out of their own actions, as that it is another version of speaking symbolic interactionism. They are not passive subjects, they are active elements, active agencies, they participate. That's what it is centered around social action. Action influenced by the society. It is not, that individual concern, you got influenced by the society. That's why it's called social action. Even Max Weber gone to the extent of saying, that sociology is nothing but study about interpretative understanding of social action. We spoke already. Sir, will it be apt to say trade wars are nothing but class wars? Definitely. But anyway, it's that you got your own interpretation, ladies and gentlemen. The trade war between, the United States of America, and the rise of China. Of course, who should enjoy the supremacy? Who should exploit, that the very Indian society? It's not Indian society. The very, that societal resource meant for the whole humanity, trying to dominate the scene. That's why I think it is right time to recall the world is now unipolar come multipolar world. Unipolar, militarily, US dominating, but economy, in economic sense, multipolar world, for your kind information, ladies and gentlemen. But politically, we are confused. That's what, that former National Security Advisor, Shiv Shankar Menon used to mention this when we are talking about global order. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, Mr. Sankalp, what you are telling is right. That's right. The exploitation at the global state system you are mentioning. Is symbolic interactionism is making societal ethics as individual morals? No. So, first of all, you should not say, that ethical consideration here. You have to understand ethics, it's totally different scenario, where you are talking about morality. But in sociology, you don't take sides. The context decides whether it is right or wrong. It may not be appropriate. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. I think, so we have to, I think, I address your answer. What is that? Being persuasive enough to make individual morals or society. See, actually, that is not the duty of sociology. Sociology as a science of society, study of society to understand and to make generalization. That's what sociologists do. But it is the duty of social workers, social reformers, judiciary, that even media people, legislators, non-governmental organizations, international organizations, regional organizations to utilize that particular report and make it workable. But sociology, it becomes value laden. You expect how the society should be. That's what Emile Durkheim, spoke about. Sociology of education, moral and all. That was criticized. Got the idea? So it becomes value laden approach. Even Max Weber talking about it. It's very difficult for any sociologist to be, that objective, to practice value neutrality. But everyone should strive. Even Max Weber reinforcing that particular point of view. I think Mr. Sankalp, you would have understood by this time. Yes. So what happens? It is that way. I think right time, let's move. So this symbolic interactionism, not only that, in continuity, stresses on the process. What is that process? By which individuals make decisions and form opinions. Out of interaction, you develop meaning. Otherwise, the formation of yourself in interaction, social interaction, that's what looking glass self. You come to know who you are by your social interaction. You treat society as a mirror. You get the feedback from the society. That's what emphasis, out of social interaction. Otherwise, you will have your own opinion that may not be right sometimes. Let me repeat. It is on interaction, social interaction. You develop meaning of yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, it is right. So, in order to move, one has to find medium of interaction with others. That symbols filled, of course, that when it is lacuna, the absence of it, of course, we are talking about. Through the process of role taking, for that you have to participate. That's what active role of individuals. Role taking, you take up the role, you practice, then you form, you develop the concept of self, you come to know who you are. Only out of social interaction, by placing oneself in the position of others. If I were in your position, the empathy, sympathy, what we are talking about, it is that way. So the self-formation, I becomes me. The individual self hitherto spoke for you, now started speaking for society. Otherwise, putting yourself in social context. The I becomes me. It is that way we are talking about. So symbolic interaction, of course, we spoke already, Charles Hurton Cooley, influenced by his view, especially the sense of self is not self-generating, but it is developed only through interaction, especially with significant others, your own significant people, your parents, your peer group, or people whose opinion you consider or give importance very much. They are called your significant others. But rest of the society called generalized others. Generalized others, significant others, actually the concept is given by George Herbert Mead. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So not only that, so you treat society as a mirror to know about yourself. That's what the point we are emphasizing here, or to develop your self-image. It is that way. So it is the ability on the part of that human beings, so with that differentiates the symbolic interactionism from its behavior roots. Got the idea, na? So you have your own opinion about yourself that changes, that alters once you enter into social interaction. So this symbolic interactionism, that the third major perspective we are talking about, of course, has got minor role to play in short notes, also criticized on what basis you can, and that ask me, narrow micro focus, the society, see, study about society. In society, you got major entities, social institutions, social groups. The focusing on, that very, very micro entity, on these grounds, it is getting, that criticized, very well. Otherwise, it ignores the common facts like, power, structure, and that constraining influence on human actions. So if you talk about interaction, that interaction itself gets influence. When lockdown announced, no interaction. Only telephonic interaction or your Zoom interaction as we do now, the virtual learning. Got the idea, na? Of course, it is fortunate thanks to the technology. But there are no personal interaction. The act of, the symbols, it has got its own limitations, ladies and gentlemen. So it is that way. So it is outright rejection of those bigger entities or macro entities. That's the accusation we are talking about. I think, so the indological approach we spoke already, it is because of G.S. Gurye. So that the study of Indian society, especially the perspective based on the data collected from Indian art, architecture, language, Indian culture, religious texts, folklore, legends, myths. It's otherwise called criticized textbook approach. not field approach, based on bookish view. People criticize, that. But anyway, it is a foundation for rest of the perspectives in, that Indian sociology. That's why it is appreciated. But it became a platform for further development of sociology, as I told you earlier. I think, that let me take some more minutes. So, rested on the assumption historically, Indian society and culture is unique. It's exaggeration to some extent. So, that's why, people criticize on these grounds. And also, it's totally different from previous views. The earlier, that Indologists, they considered society as static, timeless, spaceless. But, that G.S. Gurye took that approach to the next level, because he made difference. It is distinctive through Indological approach we are talking about. Especially, that the Sanskrit text he utilized to explain Indian, that society and culture. And the approach is also called he is otherwise called, very G.S. Gurye, a theoretical pluralist, for your kind information. Because, he employed to some extent, that the empirical and textual methods both. That's why theoretical pluralist title for G.S. Gurye, ladies and gentlemen. And it is he who liberated, otherwise Indological approach of G.S. Gurye liberated India from studying the caste, from speculation, from value-centric perspective. Got the idea, na? It is that way, especially from historical comparative. It's other way, the paradigm shift we are talking about, the GS, that Gurye could affect in such a way. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it is the right time. So, it's not only that, it's also, not free from, that the very criticism from Yogendra Singh, on the basis of it is non-observable, non-empirical evidence. Even M.N. Srinivas gone to the extent of criticizing it is biased, very biased towards, Brahmanical view. Beyond that, the Marxist, Indian Marxist, A.R. Desai, he criticized, this G.S. Gurye's Indological perspective, ignoring inequality, exploitation, even dialectic. Dialectic means, that contradiction, struggle present in Indian society. On these grounds, that you come to know. Of course, the resources when you talk about, please consult all your, the terminologies what I employed here, the dictionary, William P. Scott or Oxford or Penguin, even refer NCERT books, even you please go for IGNOU materials. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, that will supply more information, and rest of the things you can also parallelly question me. Right. I think you would have understood the major perspectives in sociology: structural functionalism, conflict school of thought, symbolic interactionism, and also in Indian sociology, the emphasis on Indological perspective by G.S. Gurye. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we will take you to the thinkers portion, and where you are trying to explore in practice all these perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, this is right time. Please use my referral code. This is Success Sampath. So far interacted with you. Use my referral code SUCCESS and avail 10% discount. Please go for. We highly recommend you for the iconic program. Wishing you all the very best and best of luck. And have a nice evening, wonderful evening. And we will meet same time tomorrow with another topic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.